we're not going to talk COVID-19 today. We're actually going to take you back down memory lane to 1988. And, of course, one of the biggest things that ever hit Australia was Expo 88. And for those of us who were around at the time, it was a fabulous place to be. And it was really the changing of Brisbane in many ways. It became a global city back in 1988. And our guest this morning, Peter Racy, is looking for a bit of a hand. He needs help finding a particular piece of memorabilia. Peter Racy, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for taking the call.
First of all, can I just ask, how did you get involved in looking for memorabilia in the first place from Expo 88?
The former Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Graham Quirk, is a bit of a historian, and back in 2012, when he was a freshly appointed Lord Mayor, he and I started to do a little bit of work on the memory of Expo 88 because the touchstones in Brisbane were rapidly disappearing and would have joined the ghostly apparitions of the Commonwealth Games. So we set about trying to save, and we've done a really good job. And a fellow up in Kingaroy, Jason Ford, who you may have heard, has come on board, and we're all systems go now trying to make the memory legacy of Expo 88 into a tourist attraction for the regions of Queensland.
Now, Peter, you are looking for a specific piece of memorabilia from Expo 88 at the moment. What is it?
On the 32nd anniversary, which is the day we're talking on, what we're after is trying to track down the Dalgety flyer, which was a light plane which featured in the entrance of the Primary Industries Pavilion, and it's an iconic bit of kit. And if we can track that down, as long shot as it is, it will make a great addition to the legacy assets of Expo 88, and also a really great nod to the contribution that Primary Industries made and the rural sector made to Expo 88, which was represented in that very unique Primary Industries Pavilion, which is now, which was relocated in 1989 up to Billawheeler, but is now in need of some desperate restoration, which is why the call's gone out.
So explain to our listeners what the Dalgety flyer is, and what does it look like, what does it do?
Well, I've put up on David Olive's Facebook page, actually, and I'm happy to put up on yours, the photographs of it from World Expo 88. It's a light plane. I'm assuming that it was used in mustering primarily, or maybe it was just used in, sort of paddock supervision of how tilling has gone and sowing has gone. But it was, as I understand it, from the Deputy Director of the Pavilion, it was an essential tool in those days to increase the productivity of farms, now well and truly overtaken by satellite technology and GPS tracking. And it was a feature in the 60-metre entrance into the pavilion, and was just, it's just been lost over time. It was taken out, it was put back to work, but now it's time to try and find it, try and put it back on public display, probably in the Queensland Air Museum up at Caloundra with the F-111 from Expo 88, and just to build that tourist narrative up, to bring people out into the regions so they can experience the food and, the great lifestyle that's to be found out in the country.
And do you have any inkling at all where it may have gone?
Well, the reason why I've contacted the Southern Downs is because the paperwork that's left over would indicate that it has probably gone into that Dolby and surrounds area, but I mean it's 32 years ago, so it's probably likely to be on-sold, but it could be anywhere in reality. But the most logical place to start is where it first was handed back to the owners of it back in 1988.
And was it in flying condition at the time?
It had been well used when it was put on display, which was the reason why it was able to be taken out of production use at the time. But it was still in serviceable condition, and my understanding from Andrew Schultz is that yes, it went back into service and was sort of, well and truly flying early 1989.
And if someone has knowledge of where the Dalgety flyer might be today, what do they need to do?
Probably the best thing to do, get onto the Facebook, World Expo 88, and just leave a message or post an entry up if you've got a photo of it sitting in a barn. That would be absolute gold. And one of the directors, either myself or Jason Ford or Nick Ferris, will track you down, and we'll start the process of trying to save it and get it back up on display. And it'd be really a great outcome of this interview if that could happen.
Well, good luck in that search, Peter. We keep our fingers crossed that it does come to fruition and you get the Dalgety flyer back.
Well, thank you so much on this 32nd anniversary of Expo 88 in taking the call. I really do appreciate it.
Good on you, Peter. Thank you.
Bye.